What's going on, guys? It's your boy Patrick, aka Addicted to Combat, back for another week of best bets and props. This time for UFC Vegas 56. Alexander Volkov taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik in the main event tomorrow. Heavyweight clash in the main event. Not the best fight card in general, but all 14 fights are on. All 28 fighters made weight earlier today. That's kind of a rare thing to see with so many fights, but there's still room for funny business in the next 24 hours. Hopefully, as much of this card stays intact as possible. But I'm going to go over some of my most confident spots in this card. And like I mentioned in my full card breakdown, some of the money lines have gotten out of control this week, but the props, I like the props a lot, and there's a lot of good, juicy opportunities I found I'm going to go over right now. But we'll start with the money lines I like, starting with the main event itself. Alexander Volkov coming in at a minus 160 price tag on him, which I think is a steal. I would bet this all the way up to like minus 185 and still feel comfortable with it, honestly. I like the skill set of Alexander Volkov. I like his experience. I like the fact that he's only been finished by strikes by Vitaly Minakov back in the day, who's a monster, and Derek Lewis with only 4 seconds left in the fight or so back in 2018. So the fact that he's been so battle tested as a heavyweight, around 50-ish professional MMA fights at heavyweight, and those are the only 2 times he's ever been finished by strikes. The guy really only struggles with, takedown heavy game plans, and that's not Jairzinho Rozenstruik at all. Everybody at heavyweight has a puncher's chance to end the fight. Jairzinho Rozenstruik has heavy hands, heavy kicks, very powerful, almost knocked out Curtis Blades with a flying knee, back in September in his last fight. If that was just a couple inches, down towards the chin of Curtis Blades, probably would have knocked him out with that strike. But the fact of the matter is, even over 5 rounds, Jairzinho Rozenstruik is so low volume that he gives himself even less of a puncher's chance. Less of a chance to end the fight in general, just because he's so low striking attempt oriented in his fights. I'm not too worried about it. I think at this price tag, this is kind of the price tag you want for a heavyweight fight, right? Even when you're confident, you don't want to be laying more than minus 200 on a heavyweight fight. And the fact that we have to lay only minus 160 on a guy with much better experience, a much better build for the division, and a much more refined skill set, I'm very confident in Alexander Volkov to get the job done. My second most confident fighter, and he has a price tag to reflect it as well, is Damon Jackson at minus 625 on the money line. Still, I gotta mention he is my most confident fighter. It's worth mentioning because he did open up around like minus 250 or so over his opponent this weekend. So, he's taking on the debutant in Daniel Argueta. Daniel Argueta, just less than a month ago, won the LFA title in a 5-round split decision fight, less than a month ago. So that's going against him big time. Also, the fact that he won that title in LFA at 135, this fight is short notice for him, up at 145. So, we're getting the short notice factor, which is great. I want to say like 2/3 of the fighters who show up short notice in like a week or two, they lose the fight. So we've got that prop going against us, going against Daniel Argueta there. It's going for us. He's up a weight class. And his skill set really falls right into the expertise of Damon Jackson. Half of the 8 professional victories of Daniel Argueta are by submission. That is the wheelhouse of Damon Jackson. That's where Damon Jackson wants this fight to take place. So he'll be able to defensively negate the offense of Daniel Argueta and probably implement a much better game submission-wise himself. So Damon Jackson, minus 625, not a whole lot of meat on the bone in that. I was able to get this on Monday. Like I said, it opened up in like the low minus 200 range. I got it at minus 360, and I parlayed it with Alexander Volkov because I am very greedy. But I'm confident in both guys. But I got it at minus 360, and I was angry about that. I did not think that this would blow up to minus 600 plus. But another way that you can really play this fight and get some money on Damon Jackson is, since Damon Jackson has all of these things in his corner that I mentioned, the strength advantage, the size advantage, already was in a camp preparing for Derek Minner, and now he gets a short notice replacement. He's had, I think, 7 UFC fights already versus 0 for Daniel Argueta, so he's got an experience advantage. Everything going in his favor here. You would think that he has a chance, a very good chance, to get this done inside the distance, either by KO, some sort of ground and pound, if Daniel Argueta fatigues, or most likely by submission. So I saw the prop even just yesterday. I don't know if this has changed since then, but I saw it yesterday. Damon Jackson by KO or submission, minus 135. I like that prop a lot. The fact you can get a finish prop that way for Damon Jackson, you get a finish prop inside the distance at minus 135. Versus the minus 625 currently on the money line. That's worth a stab at this point. At this point, I think that does have some value to it. I'm not playing that myself, but I thought it was interesting only because I'm already exposed with a minus 360 price tag on him in a parlay. I'm not going to add anything else to that, but that is an interesting prop. Another prop that I do like, it's a finish prop, and it's a short notice replacement fight as well. We've got Alonzo Menefield taking on this guy, Askar Moskarov, who's a Ukrainian guy off the regional scene. The sketchiest fight week history for this guy. He started off with an impressive, 25-6 record or something like that. Now it's kind of been exposed that it's more of like a 20-11 record or something way worse than that. Some of the fights that he had on his record just flat out just didn't happen. And if you really delve into the tape, this guy is a quitter, man. He's a quitter. He's got no gas tank past a round. Even within rounds, sometimes I've seen him gas out of fights, tap to strikes, things like that you don't want to see. It fits right into the game plan of Alonzo Menefield, who is, kind of limited on the cardio aspect of mixed martial arts himself. This guy, Alonzo Menefield, really only has like a round and a half of cardio, but I think he'll be able to get the job done and break the newcomer Askar Moskarov pretty early in this fight. And for Menefield to win in rounds 1 or 2, I saw on Bovada Sportsbook is minus 125 for Alonzo Menefield to win inside of round 1 or round 2. So you've got a full 10 minutes, which is way more than the gas tank of both guys. Minus 125. Menefield now on the money line, I think, has ballooned up to minus 250 or so I saw. So, the more that all of this weird sketchiness with Askar Moskarov has been exposed each day of fight week so far, every time that there's another negative lie that they catch the guy in or something sketchy, the money line has gone up on Alonzo Menefield. But like I said, 205 fight, two guys have bad cardio. Alonzo Menefield, the much more battle-tested, much more experienced, much more athletic guy, in my opinion. Rounds 1 or rounds 2, minus 125. I like that quite a bit. Pretty confident in Alonzo Menefield this week, which is crazy to say I'm confident in Alonzo Menefield. I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, but his opponent is so sketchy that I just think it's a dunk for him. Going on to another guy who's making his debut, another European guy that's a little bit sketchy, has kind of a padded record. I still think this guy has skill, and that is Rinat Fakhretdinov making his debut against Andreas Michailidis, down at 170 for the first time. But the fact of the matter is both guys, have a pattern of finishing fights or getting finished in their fights in the case of Andreas Michailidis, who's been knocked out 5 times. Rinat Fakhretdinov, the Russian newcomer, has a ton of first round and second round finishes on his record. Hasn't been to too many decisions and has fought a lot of low level competition, but still he puts like 150% into every one of his strikes, especially in round 1. So to get the under 2.5 in this fight is minus 155. Both of these guys have finish rates that far exceed the implied probability of minus 155 for an under 2.5. I think that this fight is going to end in round 1, quite honestly. I think Fakhretdinov is live to get the round 1 finish, but to cover both sides of this one, under 2.5 for a very, just kind of like the fight we just talked about with Menefield and Moskarov. Both Andreas Michailidis and Rinat Fakhretdinov have very unproven gas tanks. In the case of Andreas Michailidis, his gas tank we see the faults in it. We see he's huffing and puffing after round 1 and round 2 especially. Rinat Fakhretdinov just hasn't had a chance to prove that he can go past, a round 1 or round 2 comfortably. He's usually ending fights very early. Like I said, minus 155, very good implied probability edge over the books on this one. And another under that I like this week, only because I like doing this when I have parlays or when I have a confident lean. Like I said, I like Alexander Volkov a lot on the money line. So to get under 4.5 rounds in a heavyweight fight, under 4.5 rounds for Rozenstruik versus Volkov, it's only minus 120. The narrative, if you look at the numbers, and the narrative, if you look at the tape study, is that Alexander Volkov may just stay safe, play on the outside, and point his way to a decision victory. I agree with that. I think that that's a very likely outcome. But to pad the both sides of this, to ensure myself in my bet on Volkov, just in case he either gets the finish or he gets finished in this fight by some sort of knockout, which is likely in 5 rounds of this fight. Under 4.5 rounds is -120. That's an absolute steal for a heavyweight fight, where most of the time, if there's a 5-round heavyweight fight, we're not going to see the judges' scorecards. So to just even get into the 4th round here and get -120, I'm still baffled at that number. Once again, I saw that on Bovada Sportsbook. I like that as a way to, I like playing props where I can ensure part of my bet, where if I lose the Volkov bet and he gets knocked out, which is a possibility in a heavyweight fight, I'm not going to lose all of my money. I'll still get some of that prop value back on the under 4.5. So those are the ones that I like. Like I mentioned, Volkov and Damon Jackson are my top 2 most confident fighters this week. I have them in a parlay. I put a little bit of a stab on a 4-fight parlay as well, where I have Volkov, Jackson, Menefield, and Aaron Blanchfield. And then I have another even smaller bet on a 6-fight parlay, which is Menefield, Blanchfield, Volkov, Damon Jackson, Movsar Evloev, and Ode Osborne. Those are my 6 most confident fighters on the slate tomorrow night. And I've got those, I'm not even sure what the value is on those 4 and 6 fight parlays. I'm sure it's quite juicy. I'm sure it's upwards of, I think, 5-1 odds, I want to say, in that range. So that's not bad. I mean, Aaron Blanchfield is a big favorite. Movsar Evloev is a big favorite, and Damon Jackson is a huge favorite as well. So that's going to lower those odds a bit, but still, it should be a pretty juicy multiplier if those come through. And those are my 6 most confident fighters out of the 14 picks tomorrow night. So those are my best bets and props for UFC Vegas 56. Good luck in all your betting action. It should be a fun time, you know, regardless of name value. There are some very exciting fighters on this card. Like we went over, a lot of weird, sketchy fights where the gas tanks might not hold up and it might spell violence for tomorrow night. So good luck in all your betting action. I will see you guys next time.